Well, guys, good morning. My name is Dan Edwards. I'm the Ohio campus pastor. Super excited to be here for a new series called Subtraction. Now, New Year's resolutions, things happening, we tend to add a lot to our lives, right? I know I do. We add gym time. Me and my son, it's my son's birthday today. He's 13 years old. I'm excited for Ethan and all that's going on in his life. He's like, Dad, I want to go to the gym. Oh. Want to go to the gym? All right, now I got you, son. Let's go to the gym. Let's work out. We're adding stuff to our lives, right? I want to eat right, Dad. Oh, gosh, we got to get healthy. We got to get right. That's going to be fun, but we're adding something to our lives. Anybody ever been at work? Overtime? You need to make a little extra money? Am I the only one that likes that money? We all like money. We all like extra. And you got to add that. Family time. What about extended family? Oh my gosh, you don't see them in a very long time, then you see them all of a sudden. Now you got to add that back, that relationship. We're all adding things all the time. But have you ever been overstimulated? Have you ever just too much? I sat here as a junior high basketball coach of 7th grade boys. And I don't know what happens, but they get overstimulated that they can't do anything, but they know everything. Anybody ever known a 12-year-old that knows everything? I'm sitting here and I'm like, all right, guys, what's going on? We're freaking out. Lights are on and the lights are bright, and do you guys know how to break a press? Yes, coach, what do we do? I was like, no, specifically, what do you do? And he's like, okay, we both get on the free throw line here. We both cut to the corner here. We stay in a triangle so that there's always a back pass. What is the first pass you always make? It's always back, coach. Have you ever done it one time this game? No, sir, we actually haven't. Not one time. But that's the first pass is backwards. You got to go forwards. You got to go backwards and go forwards. Some deep, deep stuff happening. Coach, we don't want to pass it backwards. We want to go forwards. You can't go forwards unless you go backwards. Ay, ay, ay. They're just overstimulated. There's so much going. But how many of you guys have ever met that one guy who just appears to have it all together? He's working out. He's eating right. He's got a great job. His money's in order. And you're like, how do you do that? And then he starts telling you how he does it and how disciplined his life is. Well, it starts at 5 a.m. Okay, you lost me. I'm out. I'm glad you are doing well, my friend, because you are doing well. But I can't do what you do if it starts at 5 a.m. You kidding me? Oh, man. But we've all been there. And I admire those people who are disciplined. Discipline, it gets you somewhere in life. And we do admire those who are disciplined. It is nice. But sometimes we're all human. We get overstimulated. Most of us have moments like this, and the belief that we have is I'm too busy, actually, to do all that. I've got way too much to do. I don't have time to do anything I really want to do. I would do those things, and those things probably would really help me, but how am I going to do all that? That's crazy. That's hard. So many of us, we feel trapped in lives that we don't even enjoy living. How many of you will eat food that you know will make you feel bad? There was a kid. Okay, I say a kid. He's 20, 21 years old. He needed to be gluten-free. And again, in the 80s, in the early 90s, I don't know that we knew what a gluten was. So kids had stomach aches all the time, and we just say, get over it, right? That was our prescription for anything. Get over it. Like, no, these guys really have stomach issues. This is medically proven now, but nah, just get over it. You'll be all right. In basketball, we just say, walk it off. Walk it off. His kneecap is sideways. You'll be all right. Walk it off. We're so busy, and a lot of us, this kid who is allergic to the glutens, he's eating stuff, and I'm like, bro, that's got gluten in it, man. Like, he's like, oh, I know, I'll deal with it. You're going to deal with it? You're going to have a stomach ache over all this? Yeah, it's so good, so tasty. So tasty, but you're gonna hurt your stomach over it. Like, what are we doing? But we do that all the time. Retail therapy. I know I shouldn't buy this, Pastor Baker. I know this is expensive. I know this $75 hoodie is too much, but it's much too much. I'm just gonna go ahead and get it because I don't feel that well. And this helps me feel better about myself. So many of us, we get trapped in these lives that we don't enjoy living. What about you? Are there parts of your life that you don't enjoy? You ever found yourself spread too thin? I have. Man, I sign up for stuff and I'm just like, Amanda, why did I do that? She's like, you're an idiot. Simple explanation. You shouldn't have done that. I'm like, I know, but it had to be done, right? And she's like, nope, it didn't. It didn't. You did not have to sign up to run the concession stand, but every time I come to a basketball game, half the time it's not even open. We're wasting money, we're wasting funds for sports and this, so I had to, right? Nope. Well, how do I say no like this? No. And I admire Amanda for that. Don't ask her anything. She will tell you no in a heartbeat. She's the best. Are you busy but not productive? Now, captain of the ADD team, ADD, yeah, I said it right. I thought I said ADT for a second because I was thinking about the security system earlier. ADD, I'm the captain of that team, apparently, because I'm saying ADT and ADD, and I get all sidetracked. That's what I do. I find myself busy, but not productive. I'm the only person on the planet that can take an hour and a half to make hot dogs. Like you just boil some water and you put the hot dogs in it for 5 minutes, you take them out and boom. Now, if they start curling up and they start spreading apart, okay, you left them in too long. Like how you mess up hot dogs? Pretty easy. How do you take an hour to make I don't know. Like I'm just trying to make I'm trying to make some mac and cheese. Well, it doesn't take 35 minutes to make mac and cheese, it takes 8. What are you doing? I'm like, Amanda, I'm trying. No, you're not. But sometimes we're all over the place, but we're not really productive with the hours that we have, with the minutes that we have. Are you always on the move, but getting nowhere? I'm trying to pay this bill. 2 hours later, you're still trying to pay the same bill. Maybe you've been attacking debt for 2 months, but no progress. I had somebody, I felt really, really bad before, like, hey, I'm paying my bills, but my bills aren't going down. Well, you're just making minimum payments. It's going to take you 12 and a half years. I didn't know that. You don't know what you don't know, but sometimes you're just paying bills and you're like, hey, nothing's happening. I'm paying my bill, but it's not going anywhere. You ever feel like your time is constantly being hijacked by other people's agendas? Yikes. Like you only have energy to do 5 things well, but you can't even get the 5 things well done hardly. Why is it so common? Because we're all kind of laughing about it. We're all kind of having fun with this. But it's like, this is real though. You know what I mean? Like we are really in this. Why is it common? Because our culture attempts to convince us that we can be, we can do, and we can have it all at once. But the more we do, the less fulfilled we actually are. The way that we do life, the way that we tackle things, it's not working. It's not working. Some of us, we have 40 years. Me, only 39. Years of experience to prove that theory right. Sometimes we got to change the way that we change to change. You can't keep doing the same thing you've always done and expect any different result. If you ever feel like you're living the life others expect of you, not the one that will fulfill you, has that ever been you? Like, man, I just wish I could be the people they think I am. Sometimes I wish I could be the pastor that everybody in this room thinks I am. Let's make it more personal. That's not going to fulfill you. If I am being the person that I want to be, you all will be fulfilled by that as well. If you're being the husband that your wife expects, you're probably going to fail. But if you will be the man that God called you to be at the head of your household, and you do things his way and you fall in obedience in line with that, all of a sudden, that's the man she wanted to marry. That's the man she expected you to be. It's crazy, man. I wish I had the courage to live a life true to myself, not the life others expected of me. What a quote. That's an Australian nurse named Bronnie Ware. That's an amazing quote. The reality is, if you don't prioritize your life, someone else will, or something else will. You have to prioritize your life. Who are you in charge of? Me, myself, and I. I've seen kids go through horrible breakups, and they respond harshly. Well, wait a second. Well, you don't understand. They hurt me. No, I understand they hurt you, right? I've been a youth pastor for almost a decade, 9 years at one time. And these kids will be like, man, she hurt me, so I did this. Well, you're not responsible for how they treat you. You're responsible for how you treat them. If you get that one concept down in life, you will get hurt. You will get ran over. But you can't get in your car and floor it and just ram somebody. You're responsible for your actions and only your actions. You're not responsible for how people treat you. People have free will. It's the worst. It's the worst. People say, why would God allow this to happen to little children? Why would they get exploited? Why would they get trafficked as human beings? Because people have free will and they're evil. The heart of man is wicked. And I realize that. But I am responsible for me. And if I could change me, if I could allow God to change me because I'm a bad person, all of a sudden I can do a lot of good, but I can never control everybody everywhere. There's no way. If you don't prioritize your life, someone else will. Something else will. Some of us, we begin to discover that trying to make everyone else happy has led us to just blah. You ever felt that? Dude, there's some days where I don't even know what to say. I don't even know what to say. My day is hijacked by so many other things than what I wanted it to be. In striving to be who the people around us need us to be, we've lost sight of who we really are. And we end up feeling like our life is not our own. You are so uniquely built to be you that there's not one more in the world like you. You're it. There's one Dan Edwards. Now, there actually is another Dan Edwards in the UK because our emails are almost matched perfectly, but I forgot the number one time in my email, and he's like, hello, bro, this is Dan Edwards. I'm over here in the UK, and I got your social security card, but I'm over here in IT, and I'm like, no, this is dangerous. I can't do that, and I'm sending you a mail, bro, because I know this is bad. I'm like, there's another Dan Edwards in the UK, almost the same age. I got to meet this fella one day. But he's not me. We got the same name, but we're so uniquely different. No one has the same fingerprint. Out of all the little skin cells and stuff we have, not one of them match another person in the world. You are uniquely you. We live the way that we live because we live according to a few faulty assumptions. I have to. No, you don't. No, you don't. I have to, though. No, you don't. You really don't understand. I have to. You don't. That is one of the most freeing things I've ever said in a church building. You don't. But everything I do is important. No, it's not. It's really not. You don't understand. the pressures that I have that you've applied on yourself because you've prioritized everything as important. If everything is important, then nothing is important. Everything can't be important. You don't understand. I can't get it all done. So this was me one time. This had to be about 7, 8, 9 years ago, somewhere in that time frame, okay? I'm calling a pastor, maybe 1,500 people. I've already talked to a pastor of 2,500 people, talked to another pastor of like 900 people. I'm starting a church from scratch. Me, my wife, I had 2 kids at the time, grew the church the old-fashioned way, and Noah was on the way. And I'm like, man, how do I turn it off? And 2 of them couldn't give me the answer. I'm like, man, I can't get it all done. And then Pastor Delgado, the godfather of churches, my man from Brooklyn, who was pastoring in Mississippi of all places, very awkward, doesn't match. But he was a big-time drug dealer from New York. He went through Teen Challenge, got saved, got pastor classes, Bible college, all this stuff. He ends up pastoring. I'm like, Pastor Delgado, I can't get it all done. He said, you can't get it all done, Dan. You kidding me right now? And I'm like, oh, gosh, he's going to yell at me. I'm going to get in trouble. And I'm like, man, I just need to know how to turn this thing off. Like, I can't rest. My mind, if there was a sound for my mind, it would be like, brrr. And it's just me going everywhere, trying to do everything and be all things to all people. It's all important. I can't get it all done. I said, how do I turn it off? He goes, you want me to tell you how to turn it off? I'm like, please, dear God, yes. How do I stop it? He said, Dan, is it going to be there tomorrow? I'm like, is what going to be there tomorrow? Is it going to be there tomorrow, Dan? And I'm like, yeah, it's going to be there tomorrow. He goes, then it's going to be there tomorrow. Turn it off. That was it. That was our conversation. Guys, when you clock out of work at 5 p.m., you clocked out. Work is done. Jeff, unfortunately, I heard you this morning out there on the lawn, and you said, man, you guys aren't supposed to be calling me at this time. I don't know who you're talking to, but I'm going to use that as a little reference. Jeff, you got some gall, my brother. You just tell him, no, it's church time. You're supposed to be calling me. Call somebody else. Whoosh, get out of here. Ain't happening. Not today. That's okay. What are they going to do? Fire you on your day off? Maybe. Get a new job. One where they respect your limitations of you can't be all things to all people at all times. Because you need a break. And you need to get something poured into you. So here we are. Let's pick up in the Bible. We're going to read Nehemiah chapters 1, verses 3 and 4. And also, guys, I want you to know online, okay? I will have physical cards for you next week, but online, follow us on Facebook, social media, and there is a reading plan for you that you can go through the book of Nehemiah this month, and you can get in depth, and you can read the word, and you can get really, really attached to the story, because this is an amazing story. In Nehemiah chapter 1, verse 3 and 4, it says, and they said unto me, y'all remember, anybody remember that? And they said unto me, let us go into the house of the Lord. But they said to me, the remnant, there in the providence, who had survived the exile, is in great trouble and shame. The wall of Jerusalem is broken down, and its gates are destroyed by fire. Why is this a big deal? Because Nehemiah continues with the prayer, and he says, as soon as I heard these words, I sat down and I wept and I mourned for days, and I continued fasting and praying before the God of heaven. This man had a burden. This man saw his city laid in ruins. You know what? I'm not going to lie to you. When I came and I had a church in Grove City, and I saw this place where it was at, there's some kind of responsibility for a place you had been at before in your life. And I'm like, man, I want to help this place. I want to rebuild the walls. I want to see it strong. I want to see it thrive. This was once my home as a youth pastor. I want to see it restored to its glory. That's what he's feeling right here. He's like, man, this is my town. This is my place. This is my country. Get a burden for some things, man. This guy has a heavy burden for his home. Nehemiah discovers these walls have been torn down and the gates have been burned out. This is devastating to him because it's the city that he loves. Do you love this place? That's my question to you. Do you love your city? Do you love Pickerington, Ohio? Do you love Groveport, Ohio? Do you love Lancaster, Ohio? Do you love the city that you're in? And are you tired of it being in the state that it's in? I'm tired of hearing about this school and all the trouble it's in. I might just go rebuild those walls. I might just put a new gate up. I might just pray for this place. I might just get a burden for this place. I might just get on fire a little bit for God. You know this feeling that your boundaries have crumbled and you feel burnt out? Anybody? Can you relate to your life not being where you thought it would be at this point in your age? We want to change, but we don't always like the way that feels. Me and Amanda, we looked ourselves in the face, and she was beautiful. Me, not so much. Got work to do. But we said, let's go over our finances. Where do we want to be by 3 months from now? Where do we want to be at the end of the year? How much do we need for retirement? In the meantime, we got to plan for our weddings. We got to plan for college. We got to do all this stuff. How are we going to get it done? We sat down and we made a plan. And that plan is pretty daggone good. But we had to make it. Now that you've made a plan, you got to act on it. Ooh, this is where it gets tough. In Nehemiah, verse 11, in those days, Nehemiah is a cupbearer to the king. That's a pretty high up position. Also kind of weird because he's testing the cup. If it's poison, he dies. If it's not poison, hey, king, we good? You can drink this. It's great. Verse 11 says, O Lord, let your ear be attentive to the prayer of your servant and to the prayer of your servant who delights to fear your name, and give success to your servant today and grant him mercy in the sight of this man. He's saying, dude, you know I love you. You know I care about you. You know I lay my life down for you. Can you hear me on this one thing? I'm going to set the table before I try to eat this meal in front of you. You guys ever talk to God like that? Hey, God, look, you know this school is a mess over here. You know our community is a mess over here. You know we could fit about 3% of the population of Groveport in our active churches today, right now. Could you hear me, God, on this? You know I'm your servant. You know I love you. You know I care about you. You know I read your word. You know I pray. You know I attend church. You know I tithe and I give regularly. Could you hear me, God? Before I ask this, let me set the table a little bit. Some of y'all might not want to set the table because you never set the table. Go ahead, do it. Start today. Set the table. People could say, I don't have time for this. I got obligations. I'm already committed. You know, people expect certain things from me. I'm not sure I could fit this in my schedule. Nehemiah is the cupbearer. He's subject to the king. He's pushing back on the king a little bit. He's shifting his priorities, saying, no. Look, this could kill me. I could lose my job over saying this, but I need to say it because it is in my heart and it's a fire shut up in my bones. And this fire needs to be released, even if it costs me my job. In Nehemiah 2:5, it says, and the king said, if it pleases the king, and if your servant has found favor in your sight, that you send me to Judah, to the city of my father's graves, that I may rebuild it. He has to ask the tough questions. God, what do you want me to do? That is a tough question. But do you really want to do what he answers back? I want you to go on that trip to Kenya. God, do you understand? Like I said, I want you to use me, but do you understand that's probably going to be like $2,800? Ain't got money for that. Ain't got time for that. Too busy. Do you understand I have to use all my vacation time on that? Sometimes I don't think we want to ask those questions because we're scared of the answers. What if he told you to go to Bible school? What if he did? Oh, okay, God, I said use me, but I ain't mean like that. I meant like small group Bible study. I meant like I'm going to attend church regularly on Sundays. I'm going to give you an hour, not 3 years of my life. He's essentially saying to the king, I have a gut feeling about how I should be investing my life, and I would like to go explore that. This is risky, but to him it's worth it because he lives according to a different core belief than most of us. I'm telling you guys that you can live by design rather than default. Most of us, we live in default. We just get handed the circumstances and deal with them. We just get the bills and we pay for them. And we live our life to pay those bills. And we never really live life, a life full of true meaning. I have pictures, if anybody would like to look after service. I got a bunch of, I haven't even looked at it. I haven't even looked at the videos and stuff like that from Kenya this morning. There's 6 hours time difference. They've already had church. $10. $10 feeds that entire kids' church on Sunday morning with porridge and vitamins. Some of us so broke, we can't give $10. I'm here to say if you prioritize your life and you stop living by default and you start living on purpose, you could afford that $10 a week and feed those kids. You could come with me in July and you could see those kids that you feed. They're there. It's not like sponsor a kid and you're never going to see that kid again. Nope. I talk to Pastor Philip every Monday or Tuesday. Those kids are there. And they did receive your Christmas gifts. And they loved them. And that's what those pictures and everything is, the videos and stuff. We'll show it next week, okay, Brecklin, wherever he's at. My man, my guy. So here, this core belief that he creates, you can, and these assumptions and these things that you're doing, you could think, okay, here's Nehemiah and he has to do this all on his own. He doesn't. He doesn't have to rebuild those city walls. That's physically impossible for him to rebuild those city walls by himself. So that is a lie, okay? That is an assumption that you make on yourself that I have to make my own way to Kenya and it's going to cost me $2,800. It's a lie. Who said that? Who? You did. It's not what God said. God said, be faithful and watch me work. Be obedient and watch me work. Now, it might cost you something, but he's the provider, not you. God can do all things. So you can have this false assumption that I have to do it all. The truth is, you can't do anything. You can't. You can't do anything without the presence of the Lord first being invoked inside of you. You get on a team with God, that team is unstoppable. Literally unstoppable. And the truth is, you really can do anything. You can conquer all things through Christ Jesus. But listen, you can't do everything. You could do something. You could do a couple things. So me and my wife, we plan to do a couple things this year. A couple. And by God, we're going to get them done. We're going to make progress. We got a plan. Here's what we're going to do, and here's what we're not going to do. We're going to subtract some things to make this happen. Everything is a trade-off. Realizing this enables you to stop asking, how can I make it all work? You can't. Everybody say can't. I like your accents. It's nice. You got to start asking more honest questions. Which problem do I want to solve? Do I want that problem? Do I want that problem to really go away? If there's some things that you can deal with a little later, maybe you deal with those things a little later. But there ought to be some problems that can't wait. Nehemiah said, this problem can't wait any longer. You know how they got in ruins? Day by day, month by month, year by year. It wasn't an all of a sudden thing. Some of us have let ourselves go in so many different ways. It's going to take work to rebuild. Another thing, so we believe I can't let certain things go, but you can. You can. There are certain things that you can let go. The third thing, I have choices about the way I live. I have choice. You are ridiculously in charge of your story. We think that we make this thing all up, that this whole world lives and dies on us, that our school lives and dies on us, that our workplace lives and dies on us, that our families live and die just on us. It's not true. You cannot be made to consistently do what you do and want to do. It is a choice. It's not just going to happen. It is a conscious effort. I have choices about the way I live. Sometimes you don't. If you want to get healthy, there's no other way. You're going to have to get in the gym, and you're going to have to eat healthy. That's it. There's no magic pill to come save us. I actually read a documentary about the magic pill, and the whole time I was thinking, like, I'm going to get a magic pill. It's like, nope, there is no magic pill. You're going to have to eat healthy. You're going to have to exercise. You're going to have to do this. Like I have choices about the way I live. Sometimes you don't. Sometimes you just got to do it. Like God said, I want you to give so that there's money in the storehouse, so that pure and simple religion is take care of the orphan and the widow and be unspotted from the world. How are we going to take care of the orphan and the widow if the church has no money? But if everybody gave money to the church, all of a sudden, nobody in our community is in need. Because if they say, hey, Pastor Jay, I need some groceries. Hey, we got you. Great. Hey, man, I'm really behind on my car payment. Oh, I would love to pay that for you. That'd be great. Now, there is different times, and everybody wants to say people will scam. And how many times have I gotten scammed? A couple times with church money that people scam me, and I realized it, and I'm just like, oh, man, that stinks. People will take advantage of that. But you may not always have control over your options, but you have control of how you choose them and how you choose among the options that you have. So you got $2,000 this month that you've made. Okay, you got 4 weeks, you make $500 a week. You got $2,000. You get to make the choices on how you spend that. You can say, well, I got rent, that's $1,800. Okay, we need to look into your budget. We need to make some choices so that you can be able to give towards different things that you want to give towards. How many of you like to help the homeless man? How many of you would like to help somebody addicted to drugs? How many of you would like to, and I love this, and I have friends that have done this, and there's plenty of people in this church. When somebody times out of foster care at 18, how many of you want to help them? Because they're just overwhelmed. But if you don't have the money to do that, you're just a shoulda, coulda, woulda. Instead of, gosh, let me actually live within my means. Let me actually get my rent down to 25% of my income. Well, geez, I can't afford a place then. Then get a roommate. I don't want to do that. I know, it shows. But sometimes you have to do it. In Psalms chapter 90, 10 and 12, it says the years of our life are 70, or even by reason of strength, 80. Yet their span is but toil and trouble. They are soon gone and will fly away. Verse 12, so teach us to number our days that we may get a heart of wisdom. You've got to be wise with what you have. In Nehemiah 2:6, it says, and the king said to me, the queen sitting beside him, how long will you be gone? And when will you return? So it pleased the king to send me when I had given him a time. This man had a plan. He prayed about it for days. And then he said, I want to be part of this. I want to do this. God, use me. Then he asked the hard questions. Me and Amanda, we sat down with our finances and we asked the hard questions. What are we going to have to cut out in order to make this happen? I give about 15% of my paycheck to retirement. That means 15% that I don't have to do stuff with. So now I give another 10% automatically out of my paycheck. So what does that leave me with? That's 25%. I got to live on 75% of my paycheck. And then another 10% goes into savings. So I really got to live off 65% of my paycheck. But we're willing to say, how do we stay within our means? How do we do this? How do we make it all happen? You know what the answer was? We got to make more money. So we're going to take that business that Amanda does and we're going to expand it in our renovations company. Well, that's a lot of work. I know, but we want to accomplish these tasks. The king agrees to give him space and time to explore this possibility. He asks him, how long is it going to take? What's your plan? So here's the big question. If you could only do one thing with your life right now, what would you do? Is that one thing getting the attention that it deserves? If not, you can choose to change that. Some of you are so lost inside of your own life, you don't even know how to answer this question, let alone make a plan to address it and answer it. Fortunately, that's exactly what this series is about. By the end of the month, I really hope and pray that you've got something to pray about, something to change in your life, something to commit in your life, and things to take away in your life. So I want you to commit to this series going forward. I know you're overloaded, right? I know life is overwhelming. And I hope today you found a little bit of pressure, a little bit of relief today of, wait a second, I don't have to live this way. I can make a change in my life. I can take away things in my life. I can say no in my life. Yes, next week, overwhelmed, we get it. We get it. Overbooked, overhauled. Each week, we're going to address these things. Each week, you're going to have inspiration. Each week, you are going to take layers off of yourself and realize what you really have to work with and what you really want to do. Now, I don't always enjoy talking about money, and trust me, because of our lack of financial planning, last year didn't go the way we wanted it to go. So we made a change, and we saw things coming in the future like, man, I don't have a plan for weddings. That can get expensive, right? Well, my daughter's 16, about to be 17, is coming. And if I planned the year before, girl, you ain't having a very good wedding. Right? What about retirement? I saw other people's retirement, and I said I want mine to look a little differently. But what about everything else in life? What about your marriages? What about them? Are we going to address it? Are we just going to keep living by default? What about our kids? We okay with where they're at? Are we going to have to decide we want to change in our family? What about your workplace? You don't understand. Amanda told me one time, and I get it. My mom, you know what my mom told me out of all people? Mom, I love you. I know you're watching online. I love you. You're great. But in North Carolina, I said, Mom, I feel like I'm called to plant a church. And she said, where? I said, I don't know. But I'm going to quit my job. And God is telling me, and God's going to figure it out. That's his part. My part is to be obedient and do it. She's like, let me get this straight. This is a really bad economy outside of your Marine Corps base in Jacksonville, North Carolina. You're in a great economy. So during a really bad economy, you're going to quit your really good job to just go out there and figure it out. Yes. She's like, that's not a good idea. How are you going to pay the bills? I said, Mom, my boss is in charge of the economy. My boss is in charge of my finances. And I don't really have to worry about that. It's not the advice I was expecting to get from my mom, but I understand as a mom what she was saying. Not that I'm a mom, I'm a dad. Just keep that clear. I am a dad. But I would question my kid, like, are you really hearing from God? This might not be a wise decision. I'm a parent, but it's like, no, I'm hearing from God. And I know what God's calling me to do. And you know what's crazy? I did quit my job. And I did just try to figure it out. I even had a pastor who was really, really mad at me. He told me, dude, you're going to have to get it out of first gear. You got kids. He's mad. I got fired like 7 times. Sometimes he was really, really happy. Sometimes he was really, really mad at me. Sometimes I'm like, dude, I'm just trying to figure this out like everybody else. And then a guy calls me and he says, hey, I heard you're looking for a church. I have a building that's totally paid off in Northeast Mississippi. Will you guys come look at this building? If you like it, I have about $40,000 you can have to renovate it. Wait a second. Me, my wife, my 2 kids can go and look at this church, all expenses paid, and if we like it, we could just have it? He said, yep, but you got one rule. There's the catch. He said, you can't put Assembly of God on it. It just has to be a church, just a community church. Now, it was Assembly of God in structure, but he said, I don't want it. I just want it to be a church, man. Just a community church. If you love this community, I'll give you the money. I'll give you the building. You can have it. We went. The flower beds had anthills up to my knees. I counted 33 missing shingles on the roof. Smelled like straight urine because 4 years it had been closed up. And you know what me and Amanda said? We'll take it. In about 5 years, that church was completely flipped and on fire for God in the community. Seeing our youth group students graduate college, some enter the Marine Corps. We saw 5, 6, 7 marriages restored, countless people baptized. We had a whole family. When a guy got out of prison, the whole family got baptized together. It's crazy, man. It was awesome. All because a family said yes to, I want to rebuild something. And then I got a burden for that place. I left that place and I was like, Amanda, she's like, I know. God's already talking to me too. God can do something with your life, something so meaningful. God can do something in your family, something so meaningful. Please peel back the layers and find out what God wants you to do in your life, where he wants you to be this year. I will help you. I will plan with you. I will budget with you. I will do whatever it takes. Worship team, if you would come up here as we close. I'll do whatever it takes to help you. You don't have to do this alone. Some of us have chosen to do life alone, and we've chosen to figure it all out on our own, but you don't have to. We're here to help you. Amen. Let me pray for you. God, I pray for your people, and I pray that they would understand that their life may be in ruins and our city may be in ruins, but you have charged us to repair it. And it's going to be one day at a time, but it takes a serious moment of commitment to not only be here on a Sunday morning, but to be there on a Monday morning and a Tuesday morning and a Thursday afternoon when nobody's looking, to fulfill our commitments to being your child. I want to help everybody here grow. And there's things that they're going to have to say no to that are hard things to say no to. But Father, just like our main verse of the year, we need to be empowered by the Holy Spirit to be witnesses in Jerusalem, which is our inner circle, and Judea, which is like our town, our neighborhoods, our city. But then it even says to the end of the earth. Father, I pray that we could be witnesses all the way over to Kenya, to our brothers, to our sisters who do not have it as well as we do. Help us commit this year to being empowered by the Holy Spirit to make necessary changes and to say no. In Jesus' name, amen.
South Hills Church, I just want to take a moment and say thank you for watching our service online. Whether you're watching it for the first time or you're watching it again because you enjoyed the service so much from the weekend, I'd like to take a moment and dive into our giving. Every week we give people the opportunity to give back and give to the local church so that God can continue to bless your lives and bless your finances. Here at South Hills, we believe that everything comes from God. We believe that He's the one that chose us and brought us into this world, gave us our gifts and talents and abilities. And I just want you to know that when we give, we are giving back what God has already given to us. If you've ever seen any of our envelopes at a South Hills campus, you'll see on there that it says, every week at South Hills, your generosity is giving people the opportunity to live a better story. And there's a scripture on there in Matthew chapter 6, verse 21 that says, where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. So I want to encourage you today to click down below and set up your giving, whether it's for the first time or whether you're doing reoccurring giving. We have 4 ways to give here at South Hills. 1, you can do it in person at any of our campuses through an envelope. Or 2, you can actually text any amount that you would like to 84321. And the 3rd way is to download our Church Center app. I encourage you to do this one because the Church Center app gives you opportunity to stay connected with our church and your campuses. It's a great tool and resource for you to know what's going on. And the 4th way to give is to give online. You can go to southhills.org/give and you can set up your giving there. Whether you're a guest of our church or whether you are a member of our church, or whether you simply just like to watch our services, I encourage you to trust God with your finances so that He can bless and anoint your finances and you can be trusting God in this journey of living life to the fullest. I love you and thank you for watching our online service today.